Alright guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today we are going to be talking about adjustable end links. And you guys are slowly but surely starting to maybe see I really like talking about suspension upgrades and things that you can do to improve the handling of your car, and this video is going to be no different. I suspect that a lot of you probably don't know how adjustable end links can actually be beneficial for the handling of your car, or if you have them, you might have installed them wrong, which can actually make your handling worse. So we'll go ahead and talk about that in this video. The ones that I'm going to be putting on my 340i are from SPL Parts. So a big thank you to them for sending them out to me, and a big thank you to you guys as well. A lot of you have probably seen the control arm and tie rod DIY that I did on my 440i, and because of you guys watching those videos and our conversation, you guys ended up buying from them, and you actually told them that my content and our discussions help motivate your purchasing decision. So big thank you for your support there. You know, because you guys do things like that, it creates opportunities for me to create these kinds of videos and work with companies that make really high quality parts. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that said, we're going to go ahead, take a look at the end links. Again, we'll talk about how you can actually take advantage of them to improve the performance of your car. And then I'll show you how they install on my 340i. So hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. Now, really quick, before we jump into this, I do want to remind you guys that this is Black Friday season, and SPL Parts rarely put sales on. This is basically the one time of year that you can buy their parts at a discount. And if you check out their website, you'll see them up to 20% off, which is completely insane savings on a lot of these upgrades that can significantly improve the handling and adjustability in your car's suspension components. So definitely check them out. I'll have a website link down in the description so you guys can see. And these tend to sell out fast, so definitely get there as quickly as you can. Now, let's go ahead and look at what we've got. All right, so we have two boxes here. These are going to be the front end links. These are going to be the rear. So let's go ahead and open up the box to see what's inside. Here's how the end links look. Nothing too complicated. All right, so yeah, this is how the adjustable end links look. And it's pretty simple design. So you have a spherical joint on each corner, and this attaches to the sway bar, and one side attaches to your suspension. Now, the way that it actually works is you basically hold both sides. This is kind of hard to show on camera, but basically as you spin this piece in the middle, it lengthens the end link. So you can kind of see the threaded rod on each end is starting to extend. So you turn it one way to make it longer, you turn it the other way to make it shorter. And that's the adjustable nature of the end link. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you guys how this works and why it's useful. We'll go ahead and jack up the car, take off the wheel, and I'll show you why it's important to get these if you want the best handling on your car. Now, it might be a little bit tricky to see in here. It's a little bit tight, but this is what we're working with. So this is the stock end link, right? And so you can see up here, it's connected to your strut. Then it extends down here. It's connected to your sway bar. And then your sway bar is attached to your subframe. So that's completely fixed. Now, I'm sorry, looking at this angle on the camera, I thought this was gonna be a little bit easier to see, but it kind of is what it is, so bear with me here. But with that in mind, you guys understand how your sway bars work. You know, I talked about it in my previous video. Basically, when you go around a turn, your car leans to one side. So that compresses one side of your suspension and allows the other side to droop as it raises up. So that puts a twist on the sway bar because you're pushing down on one side while the other side is lifting up. Now, your sway bar is a solid piece of metal. You know, it has a set amount of tension and resistance to that twisting motion. So that's what reduces your body roll. And if you go with a thicker, stiffer sway bar, it reduces your body roll even more. But a lot of people have asked me, oh, your sway bar is adjustable. It's got 2 different holes, so it can go on a stiff setting or a soft setting. So they thought you needed an adjustable end link in order to use both of those options, and that's not true. You actually can use the stock end links with the sway bar because it rotates in that bushing, and as long as you have both sides disconnected, it'll rotate and allow you to line up the holes just fine. I've also had people say that you need adjustable end links if you're lowering your car, and that's also not true. And actually, if you installed adjustable end links because you lowered your car and your stock end links wouldn't reach anymore, you very likely made your suspension handle worse when you put the adjustable end links on, because what ends up happening is people try to shorten it so that it can reach a different position just to get it installed. And when they're driving, they're like, oh, the car's stiff, but it's lowered, so it's just like the sporty feel. In reality, it's a lot stiffer than it needs to be. So the whole goal behind adjustable end links is to compensate for any preload that's put on your sway bars. And this can work with a stock sway bar, an upgraded sway bar, any suspension option. These adjustable end links can be used. The reason is because, like I said, when you go around a turn and the car leans, it puts some load on the sway bar and it tries to resist that motion. But that's not the only time that your suspension compresses. Pretty much any time this wheel wants to push up into the wheel well, it's going to create that preload. So that also includes simply sitting in your car. You're going to sit in one corner, in the front driver's seat. And when you do that, it pushes down on the suspension. It actually changes your camber. It changes your toe. And so for those reasons, a lot of you guys saw when I went to the track earlier this year and I got my alignment, we did a weighted alignment. So we had weights in the driver's seat to simulate me sitting there. And that's how we set the alignment. So when I sat in the car, the alignment would be exactly where I wanted it to be. You can do the same thing for your sway bars. So what you want to do is get your car on an alignment rack, either sit in the car or have weights in the car to simulate you sitting in the car, and then you'll be able to adjust your adjustable end links so that you can get rid of that preload. So now, instead of you sitting in the car and kind of pushing down on that sway bar, you can adjust it to a point where it's completely neutral. Now this really helps because, with me in the car with the stock end links that aren't adjustable, there's going to be a little bit more tension on the left side than the right side. So when I go around a right-hand turn and the car leans to the left, it's already loaded up. It's kind of artificially stiff. On the opposite hand, if I make a left-hand turn and the car leans to the right, there's actually a period of time where it's relieving tension and then it begins to tighten up again. So for that reason, like taking left-hand turns and right-hand turns aren't exactly the same. Turning one way has slightly oversteer characteristics versus the other way it has slightly understeer characteristics. So by installing these adjustable end links, you can allow your car to have the most neutral handling possible. It'll be as responsive as possible. And even if you take it a step further, if you have actual adjustable coilover suspension, you can get a corner balance. And with those adjustable end links, you can get it as neutral as possible. Now, I still have the stock adaptive suspension, so I can't actually do a proper corner balance, but I can still reduce the load on my upgraded sway bar, and especially because it's upgraded and it's stiffer than stock, you really want to make sure that you don't have that extra unnecessary stiffness, because if it's too stiff, it reduces the independence of your suspension, which you still need to keep your tires in contact with the ground. And you guys have seen my sway bar video where, again, I kind of share that I'm a fan of having the most compliant suspension possible. So if this is going to make it artificially stiff, I want to be able to eliminate that. And if it's going to bring more neutral handling, that's something that I want to take advantage of. So again, if you lowered your car and you installed these end links just because the stock ones didn't fit, you probably had one wheel on the ground and you were only working on one side, and it's going to put you in that same scenario with one wheel on the ground being compressed. It's going to put tension and load on your sway bar, and that's what prevents the other side from being lined up. So if you jack up both sides of the car, you should be able to install them at the stock length. But if you have adjustable end links, to actually get the benefit from it, you want to take it to a shop that's set up for, setting up track cars or doing performance alignments, and have them set up that weighted alignment and neutralizing the load on your sway bars, because that's where you're actually going to get the benefit from adjustable end links. So we're going to go ahead and install those on my car. Again, yes, it does work with stock suspension. It works with stock sway bars, upgraded suspension, upgraded sway bars, any combination. This is something that you can do to take advantage of neutralizing the performance of your car and compensating for a driver sitting in the driver's seat. So the process to install is pretty simple. We've just got 2 nuts to remove on each side. let's go ahead and show you how this works. Now I know this is kind of hard to see. Like I said, this is a tight space, so I apologize, but this is what we're going to be doing. We've got one nut up there connected to our suspension. Let's see if you can see it. There it is. So we're going to remove this nut. And then down here at the bottom, we're going to remove this hood. But it does have a counter hold, so there's a T30 inside that hole. So you're going to put a T30 Torx bit through the actual end link, and then we're going to put a 5/8 inch box wrench on the nut, and then use that to basically loosen it and remove the end link from both nuts. So here's the stock end link, and here's the SPL end link. As you can see, I've basically just lengthened it so that it's the same length as the stock end link as a baseline. Try to line up the center of this bearing with kind of like this point in the middle of the bushing on the stock end link. So that way, if you line it up, you know that the end links are approximately the same length to start off and give you the best opportunity possible to get a good baseline. Now, once you've extended this, we'll tighten down these nuts. Don't go crazy with it. I just did it hand tight for now. And then when we install it in the car, we'll actually torque it down. These tighten down with a 3/4 inch wrench. So we'll be able to tighten that down on the car. And then to tighten down these nuts, you're going to use a 17mm box wrench to counter hold, and then a 15mm socket to tighten this down. And then you can see it's a locking nut, so that'll make sure that it stays in place and can handle any vibration or anything that comes from driving the car. And here it is installed. Again, pretty simple, just one nut at the top, one nut at the bottom. Also, something I forgot to mention, I kind of showed you but didn't highlight. So these threads on either spherical joint are like reverse threads. They're opposite of each other. So if you turn this centerpiece, it pushes out both sides an equal distance at the same time. So basically you just hold both sides the same. You turn this and it'll lengthen or bring it in both sides equally. So that's a nice little attention to detail as well. But yeah, once you get both of these installed, you'll want to bring it to a shop. The thing that you want to consider is when you lower your car down, everything's going to change. And you need to make sure the suspension settles. So really they need to lower it on an alignment rack and roll it forward and backwards a couple times to make sure it's completely settled. And then they can make those adjustments. So it's not really something you can do at home. Take it to an alignment shop, take it to a Perforamnce shop that sets up, you know, track cars and stuff. And that will give you the best opportunity to take advantage of these little hidden gems. These are just one of those things that, you know, is under your car and nobody really knows about it, but it can make the difference in having that extra second off of your lap time. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. The rears are going to be the exact same, you know, so just take your time working your way around. And yeah, guys, I'm going to be doing some more suspension mods as well, so stick around for that. Once I get it fully dialed in over the next week or so, I'll take it back to the alignment shop to get it fully dialed in, and then I'll do a review after I get it all updated. So stick around for that. Hopefully you guys at least understand the principles of how adjustable end links work and how they can improve your driving experience and performance. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.